Poland. They
Guys, to be
obviously
honest-
ban the Ash Sedge.
Like, I'm gonna be honest. Not as like I didn't even pay attention to the what opponent bought. I was just running. We were just typing Azir to Lissandra. We didn't care what they have in the lineup, and then we just started picking based on the lineup. But we always like we went with the approach. We ban Azir, we ban Trundle. Our lineup is weak. We bring lineup that is weak to those champions. So we just auto ban them pretty much every game, every match.
20. They want to go with double Citron. They want to play with double with the 2 decks, and I do believe it's a Citron Matron. And I'm kind of sad because now seeing, as you said,
So
a
here-
champion that we haven't seen for.
So here we expect them. They have to open either with the. We expected them only to play this first because they had such a good matchup with this, and none of our decks was really good into this. So basically, our the best out first was the Sedge Teemo, and second best was Trundle Lissandra. And we knew they're gonna go with this first and second, and then they would go with either one of the Citrias if they win with this. So we pretty much knew what they're gonna pick, and like our Trundle Liss is good into everything except this. Maybe if they high roll, and our Teemo S is good. Teemo Sedge is good into everything except of the S Draven. But we knew they have to open with the this because they couldn't open S Draven into Trundle Lissandra potentially. So we were pretty sure. I think this is a grief ban. They shouldn't ban Ashe LeBlanc because this way they could threaten opening with S Draven, and by banning Ashe LeBlanc, they literally told us, "Hey, we're not gonna open with the." As Draven, we're gonna open with the this, and then we're gonna play Matron. Basically, this is what those bans tell you. We're gonna play this, and then we're gonna play one of these.
Such a long time. The Trindamir.
Hey, thanks,
actually
Lobster.
have its time of glory on the War Mothers and Field Rush time. And now
Why did
basically
we bring
losing
Teemo Sedge?
some play. And,
Because if we bring Teemo as and we did like against friends, we did like sometimes against certain teams we didn't mind if they ban double S, but against friends we wanted to have S Draven in the pool, so we brought Teemo Sedge made similar to Baron deck.
Tell the people what you've seen today because this is glorious.
I want
This
to
is
see
an
the
amazing
chat.
matchup. 2 great and fun decks to see.
Oh, God.
I remember, I think it was on
What the fuck?
Asia Seasonals.
You took
Target's
over,
Peak
huh?
1, right? The Seasonals.
Gonna be very curious to see which cards we do see in play and which cards we don't. The same for the Targon's Peak deck, though. There's no optimal build for it. France might just be freestyling here. We see Teemo in the opening hand. Ballistic Bot, as you mentioned, a key engine. But also, on Team France's side, Avalanches to contest the Teemo very early on.
Yeah, we see double Avalanche, and the Trindamir, I believe, is going to be replaced. Flash Freeze possibly also getting... because since they have double Avalanche, they can definitely toss the Flash Freeze. And they actually went for the full mulligan.
I think they just want to find that Targon's Peak. I don't
I mean,
mind.
here we are like, yeah, there is no way they're gonna draw Spacey turn 1, right? It's probably like 1 or 2 off, and then they will need to high roll Snake on top, and we are, yeah, Teemo is probably safe.
They're probably playing 3 Avalanches, 3 Ravines, maybe even Ice Shards. And you're likely to draw into AoE removal later on again. But this Teemo might just pop off early on and carry the game.
This is also pretty strong from France. If you notice France's hand, there are 2 Warding Stones, so they can just literally start ramping up and get a Field Rush 2 rounds earlier.
No, and because like we expected them to kill the Sedge, and we had second Sedge in hand and Mystic Shot. So if they went for the Invokes or like obliterate our Sedge, then you just play second Sedge and you Mystic Shot face, and you take no damage.
That is pretty scary if that happens, because while actually Poland doesn't have a Sedge 1 on the board, this can just
and we could
escalate
freeze
into
2
finishing
units
the game for Francis.
turn, even with
But
special.
maybe this Teemo is going to put some work, and especially now Spacey Catcher being dropped and tossing out the Tron card and playing now the Serpent. So basically Teemo is
Why
dead.
take the chance?
And now on turn 2, the only
Because
play
we
that
need to
makes
play
sense for
bot on 2.
Poland is either passing to just get that throwing.
We don't
or
have
Ballistic
Thunder,
Bot
we have to
just
go
start
for all
getting
the damage we
ignitions.
can.
Some very clean play from France, acknowledging the Teemo as a threat and taking this window of opportunity to remove him, while Team Poland does not have mana for defensive spells. Also, Poland's, like, some people might think that was a misplay. Why not play Teemo on turn 2 when he can't get contested by the Serpent? But you already have a turn 2 play in hand. You want to drop the Ballistic Bot on turn 2 to generate these ignitions as early as possible. So I very much do agree on playing the Teemo on turn 1 and taking the risk into account that your opponent might be able to remove them early on. Get excited on the Whirling Stones. Very smart play as well, because it would ramp Team France straight into their Targon's Peak turn. And although we know they're not holding it, Team Poland is going to do anything they can to delay it a bit.
If we
and get
didn't
their own
draw
win
Foundry,
condition
it
on
would be
And
double
we do see
Sentry.
the Hexcore Foundry on Team Poland's side. I love it.
Another thing I want to point out is on turn 2, Poland decided not to attack with the Ballistic Bot, and some people might think that's also a mistake since France only had like 2 mana and the 1/1 on the board, so it's basically a value trade. But that's a deck that runs Avalanche, and the Ballistic Bot is your value engine, and you want those ignitions to just proc the Sejuani, so you cannot give your opponent the opportunity to clear it. So Poland, once again, playing it super smart, and now with the Foundry, they can finally try to find their answers and try to find the Peddler and try to find the Sejuani or even another Teemo.
Yeah, one interesting thing to mention about this matchup, in Freya or Targon, in that region combination, they don't have the most efficient of hard removals. They don't really have the right cards in their deck to answer a Sejuani, especially when she's leveled. She's just going to be such a menace, freezing the board at the start of every turn if Team Poland does shuffle enough puff caps or does consistently have ignitions available to them.
Not having early Peddler was really painful.
So France is getting closer and closer to those Tryndamere and Feel the Rush turns very early on, but of course not having found their key card, the card that this deck is built around, not having found a Targon's Peak early on.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not seeing any Targon's Peak, but we're just 2 rounds away from seeing Feel the Rush, and it's been so long since I've seen that card being played, because I don't even remember when was the last time the card was. I think it was like 4 months ago. Once TLC became the meta, it just overshadowed completely the Feel the Rush matchup. So makes sense that we're seeing more TLC than Feel the Rush. But now with the Foundry giving 2 draws to both of teams, Poland opts for the attack that can actually get answered by an Ice Shard. I don't think it's that worth it. Is it? I mean, giving 2 draws to Poland and make them play stuff, otherwise they just burn cards on the next drawing, and also preventing 4 damage could actually make sense as long as the Warding Suns don't die, because you can play the Feel the Rush next round. But I do believe they're gonna try and save maybe the Warding Suns HP, so they will not play the Ice Shard and just let this go. I'm pretty confident on that.
Yeah, the spell mana management here is going to be very important. So Team France can basically either go for an 8-drop right now into Feel the Rush next turn, or another very interesting line of play, Catalyst of Eons into She Who Wanders, and it's going to obliterate both of the sentries, shutting down the draw. And another thing to note here, It That Stares is oddly good right now, because right now France does not have their landmark on the board yet, but they...
At this point, if they went for the obliterate on DOS, it's irrelevant. We were making sure we can bring this above the so this doesn't get obliterated. We didn't care about DOS because we have Foundry. We are drawing from this. Like, we didn't need those cards from DOS.
Situations here though, they go for Tryndamere. They don't go for It That Stares, they don't go for the Turbo She Who Wanders, they let the attack go through. Tryndamere into Feel the Rush it is, and a lot of potential damage. Gonna be staring at Poland this next attack turn.
There's a lot of damage coming through, not only from France, but also from Poland's side with this second Ballistic Bot. So there's basically 2 ignitions per round. So Poland is slowly chumping some damage into France. It's probably not going to be enough, though. We see the Feel the Rush being played now. So one Aurelion Sol and one...
who was watching that? Who of you thought that France won at this point? At this Feel the Rush, you have Tryndamere on board, you have Aesol, you have second Tryndamere. How many of you thought that France won?
Tryndamere are going to be dropped on the board, both being a 10-10. I mean, the Aurelion
Be
Sol
honest.
coming from the hand, that's good read. That's a good info for
Hold on,
Poland.
Let me see the chat.
It's just going to be an attack for France, but it's not as impactful as it should, because they can just play the Icefall Archer, and they did. So basically the second Tryndamere doesn't make anything. They can just chump block the Aurelion Sol and actually get a drawing, and also block the Tryndamere to get a second drawing, especially because they're going to play the double ignition this round, so they actually don't lose any cards next round. They can just chump off some of their cards from their hand.
And Poland is very much looking for a Sejuani, not really finding it. They can keep the draw cycle going, they can keep the Sejuani leveling going with these ignitions, but they really do need a Sejuani before the next attack comes online, because as of right now, they don't have the most effective tools to stop like 50 points worth of attack damage coming in, especially if a couple of them have Overwhelm. But one thing I'm very much enjoying about this game is the facial expressions, especially on Team France's side. They are very much enjoying and realizing that, of course, they brought a deck that is considered as somewhat memey. Usually it's always poker faces, stone face, but in this game you see some laughs every here and then, and it's very enjoyable to watch as a spectator, as a commentator.
Yeah, it is indeed, and we've seen also Alanzq just spreading his harms.
Did you?
Around,
Yeah, we were
they're
sure we are
having
ahead.
fun playing this. I mean, who's not having fun playing with the Targon Speak deck? And especially because you already have a Feel the Rush being played and a lot of big stat units on the board. So this seems fun for me. This is a good play from Poland's side. They're gonna draw 3 cards and get 2 ignitions. So basically, they have full hand this way. They actually did the correct match. This is full hand, and they're gonna burn, I believe, one card for friends, right?
They might. I'm just realizing they did find the Sejuani, and with the Sejuani, they might be able to even prevent the Aurelion Sol level up, which is one of the better ways France can approach this matchup right now. Another good card to play, again, right now, is It That Stares to remove the 2 Hexcore Foundries. I think at that point, if you're Team France, you have enough value, and you'd rather want to shut down the draw of Team Poland.
If we don't draw Sedge, we draw Baron most likely. We run triple Get Excited, we run triple Mystic Shot, and we have so much freeze that we didn't draw Peddler is also in. Peddler is a lot of damage as well. It seems like Sedge was a win, but honestly, Baron, Peddler, and Sedge were win cons at this point. Either one of those drawing was us winning.
But like we mentioned earlier on, they just don't have an effective answer to the Sejuani. They're gonna have to hope that the Aurelion Sol just randomly invokes something useful. And in the meantime, off stream, important result.
Yeah, very important one. Belgium getting the advantage on the PO3 against Sweden, and it's also one win away from guaranteeing the top cut and going for quarterfinals. And if that happens, also if Poland wins this game, it means that Sweden would be out. So these two games are very important, and a lot of things are on the stakes right now.
Of course, they would have hoped to find either puff caps or, yeah, like you said, a fast speed spell to proc the Sejuani to completely dominate the combat on the next attack of Team France. But I'm very curious to see how Poland navigates this one. I'm expecting them to play Sejuani this turn. Yep. Like you suggested earlier on, I think Ignition is coming out, freezing the whole board, and they do have a very threatening swing, which at least forces Team France.
The reason why we didn't put this on the 1-1, because they could Avalanche or Ice Shard, and we would lose 3 damage. This was pretty safe damage.
France to lose some jump blockers and lose some valuable HP on some of those big units.
I'm a bit confused on why the vulnerable on the Warding Stones, because next round, no matter if there's a Warding Stones or not, France is going to have 10 mana. I don't believe it's more about taking out some jump blockers, because the 1/1 can just
it's about damage to the
basically die
face.
to anything. Also, the fact that France played Spacey's Catcher is important, because it means that She Who Wanders is not going to be played this round. So both the 3/2 on hand and on the board are going to be safe from that. But as we said, yeah, now Ignition makes more sense for the Poland side, just to get everything to 0 attack. I would even say, for example, a Thermo Beam at the end, after an attack or something, just to basically get some extra space.
So here I have no idea why don't you open with the Avalanche and Ice Shard. A better team would have snapped Avalanche and Ice Shard to not let us attack with the Sedge into the 0-3. And yeah, so you could consider our play misplay, but a good opponent would have just played this and this right now before we play Ignition, because I could just attack into this and that was a free damage. And he would need to basically play Flash Freeze, so throw away a card. He needed to kill his this right away. So consider they didn't, we thought they don't have it. They don't have the Ice Shard plus Avalanche. So that's why we just started with Ignition, because we thought it doesn't matter. Because if they had it, they should have played it right away.
Hand for next round, so they don't burn as many cards as they're going to burn right now.
I think the idea behind
what about turn spell on the stones?
Playing around
yeah, that's why we didn't. That's why I didn't open, because maybe they were bluffing. But do you bluff at this point? Really?
Avalanche and Ice Shard. You want there to be
can you take a pass
blocker on the board so that Sejuani can hit and freeze everything. And also push overwhelm damage, of course. Right now, France in an interesting situation. Do you just pull the trigger on Avalanche plus Ice Shard? It removes the Investigator, it removes both of the Ballistic bots, and it might prevent Sejuani from attacking. Well, in this case, of course, it doesn't, because she freezes everything. But Avalanche into Ice Shard is looking very spicy here to alleviate a lot of pressure off of the board and to remove a lot of these blockers to set up your very scary open attack.
And not only that, you know what's the funniest part about that, about the Avalanche Ice Shard? Is that I believe there's a Tryndamere with 2 HP. And if it dies, it levels and both Tryndameres get back to having an attack. Because the Symphony effect already procced. So there's no way that Poland can freeze them again. So I don't believe it's the correct play for France now. It's a very insightful play now to deny one attack and also get your Tryndameres to be way more buffed than they are right now.
They only gain 1 attack, though, I believe. I think the Frostbite stays, and they only get +1 attack and plus, I don't know how much HP.
I think it's 5 HP.
Yeah, so they're going to be healthy blockers, but they're not going to contest the Sejuani, I believe. And we do see France going for exactly that line of play. Removing their own vulnerable blocker and removing most of the attackers on Team Poland's side. Of course, nonetheless, even with one attack, you now have the benefit that you can jump down the Sejuani to 3 HP. You have Avalanche in hand. You have technically It That Stares that can be 2 additional damage. You can find more Blighted Ravines, more Ice Shards. You can maybe remove that Sejuani off the board over the course of the next couple of turns.
They can definitely do that. One thing that I'm just noticing that is bad and good for Poland is that with this clear and basically without the bots, they no longer are burning any cards. The only problem is that they also don't have ignitions to just proctor Sejuani on the next rounds. And without any shrooms, they found the Mystic Shot!
And Targon's Peak on France's side, of course, very, very late. It doesn't matter that much anymore. You're probably still going to play it eventually in this matchup just because you have the much more expensive
Why
cards.
not attack? Because we don't want to damage
Sejuani. Care too
Sejuani.
much about discounting Team Poland's cards in hand.
To put it into the range of Avalanche plus another Ice
Shard.
Shard.
Late Puffcap Peddler. Nonetheless, with this mana pool available, the Puffcap Peddler can very
also
quickly
HP on
shuffle a
the
lot of
Sedge
Puffcaps
Matters
into
against
Team France's deck.
possible
And
overwhelm
the deck is already fairly thinned out.
units.
Both of these teams have been drawing a lot of cards so far. So the Puffcaps are way more likely to hit, especially with these 2 Foundries in hand. And they're going for it. She Who Wonders. No, they Moonsilver Burst Pass, not going for it yet. Which is an interesting decision. Poland now gets the chance to develop the Puffcap Peddler. And once She Who Wonders is played, they can still get value off of this Peddler. And they can get a Fury of the North onto him.
Yeah, that's why we played.
But they actually...
That's exactly why we play Peddler, because we were aware that they could play Shihu to prevent the Obliterate. Like, we had exactly mana for the Peddler, Fury, plus Mystic Shot Face.
Opt for not going for that. They didn't play the Peddler. So now if they play the She Wonders, Peddler is out. I'm a bit surprised they're not playing Peddler. I mean, it makes sense. They're probably trying to bait out that they have Harsh Winds. Because if they play the Peddler, they're either saying we have Harsh Winds, like Poland's like, okay, we have Harsh Winds and we're going to answer it just that. Or they're going to say that they have basically Born in hand. With this pass, they're just saying we have basically everything. Play for us.
No, so here... Oh, I know why. We had to... so the reason why we didn't play the Peddler yet here, because if opponent got random Obliterate for the Sedge, from the Asol, we lose. So the play was we had to keep second Sedge in case of the Obliterate, so we play second Sedge into Mystic Shot Face. That's why you don't play Peddler right away. You play it after they burn mana.
That's basically what they're saying, but it's kind of bad if the She Wonders goes down. I mean, it gets extra value because the Mystic Shot literally makes all the other things be on the 0 attack, but you lose all the value from the Peddler. I mean, it doesn't make that much difference because since France opted for the attack, it doesn't. This freeze doesn't matter. It's just
Shihu was like, "What's up?"
Himself from dying. You can now get the value from the Peddler in this round. You can just you can play it now, and maybe try to play. I don't know. You could play a Troll Chant just defensive. Just trying to get some mushrooms in the deck would make some sense. I believe. If I'm not sure exactly.
I think the idea for keeping the mana open here was that they're playing around Hush. Of course, a Hush on Sejuani would prevent them from freezing the whole board, and then they need that mana for double flash freeze on the 2 Trindamirs.
Yeah,
also that was why Team Poland elected to not play the Peddler proactively. We, of course, know that France is not holding a Hush, and we did not see any be drawn yet, but Poland has to play around everything that could technically be in these region combinations. And now they are thinking about how to strategize this. They do elect to play the Peddler, and I almost expect France to answer with She Who Wonders right now.
Wait. There's a good thing though. She Wonders is only on followers. It's not on
followers. Right? Yeah. All of these, neither Sejuani nor all of the champions on Team France's side are going to die. And the Peddler is most likely also not going to die because of this 4 mana main deck Fury of the North that France is probably not really expecting. They opt for it Equinox instead. This is interesting. I assume this is going to be Equinox into It That Stares removing landmarks, because they know 2 ballistic bots are gone. We don't have Puffcaps in our deck yet. The Sejuani is not super duper likely to trigger if we remove these landmarks. And they do play the It That Stares.
Wait, that was a bit painful.
How did they get another one in hand right now? Did you see that? Or was that just hand reshuffling?
It's possibly a bug though. I remember there's a bug sometimes that you play a card and when you're spectating the card goes to the end. Yeah, it's a bug. It's a bug.
It's a visual bug, alright.
Yes, it happens. Yeah, basically France playing very smart on that. You don't care about the Peddler anymore if you're just going to silence it. And only Poland with having 4 mana, there's nothing much they can do with spells just to answer and put that many shrooms. You're already in such a bad spot that you need to just try to go for a win condition, which is trying to actually clear all the foundries. The problem for their side is that there was another foundry, the third one in hand, so they played that. And they actually also got now another peddler. So this is basically the stars aligning for Poland with these drawings and this skipping, and Poland playing it pretty well, honestly. As we said, they did a pretty good read with the Sejuani instead of Ezreal for these lineups and this meta. And honestly, Sejuani is eating way harder into this matchup than Ezreal would do. Okay, Ezreal can one-shot, but you don't have that many answers into attacks. The 2 attacks that, for example, France has already done, while the Sejuani can do that. Sejuani can just answer that.
Yeah, Sejuani is just stalling the board entirely right now, almost by herself, of course, in combination with some Nexus damage triggers. But yeah, literally freezing the game state, freezing the board turn after turn. And the Mystic Shot also being a very important draw for Team Poland, because they can save that for the open attack. They can again check whether or not France has a Hush. If they don't have a Hush, the next attack is again not going to be any threat at all. And if they do have a Hush, they can still follow up with their double Three Sisters flash freeze. But very important to mention, France does have double Avalanche right now. They can threaten to remove both Peddlers and the Sejuani. Team Poland does have a defensive Fury of the North, though, keeping Sejuani alive. And then if France doesn't find a Hush, like the open attack, of course, looks scary.
No, we were safe against
but Poland has the answer with the Mystic Shot.
We kept in check.
And there's going to be 0 damage coming through. They're going for the proactive Sejuani attack. That's an interesting one. They do have... I guess they just want to shuffle puff caps, right? They can Three Sisters flash freeze, and they still have exact mana for defensive Fury of the North for the Sejuani.
Oh, they're going for little.
Oh, they're going for the Entomb play instead. The Overwhelm Entomb play. Realizing that that deck does not have the best answers to something like this. Also, the Entomb takes a lot of pressure off of the board. But this does tap them under Fury of the North, while at the same time, it also taps France under the double Avalanche. Very interesting play, very interesting dynamic right now.
Yeah, this was a really good play, because the thing is, either then France goes for a clear with Avalanches and takes the 6 damage, which is a lot. It's just 1 Mystic Shot away from dying. And also with the Shrooms, it's a risk you're taking, even if you have a Catalyst of Veins in your hand. So this was pretty smart from Poland. They acknowledge that they're going to try to get this sneaky little, or just take out some of the actual
Why don't you Mystic
answers
here? We need mana for next
side,
turn to not die.
so they can
And
stall a
Mystic
little
Shot,
bit longer. Basically, without the flash freeze
Mystic Shot is defense with the Sejuani on board.
in hand from the France's side, the next attack that Poland does, there is no answer like this. If there's again another play with the Entomb, now there's no answer.
Why no
The
Investigator?
Aurelion Sol flip might be important here, though, because of the 0 mana Great Beyond they can play and whatever else they invoke. And of course, the Trickster being another elusive. Poland just not
Because we
having
want
the
to
tools
put
stop it
mushrooms
even
before
after
the
Entomb.
Investigator.
Asol flips, written in stars. Written in stars. That would be a Battle Fury or the Asol champion spell. But of course, it would be full cost again. Interesting turn, interesting decisions to be made, but they do draw the puff cap, board being frozen at the very start of the turn.
No, we
I'm
could
actually
have
not
answered
even sure
the
if
spell
Poland is
shield.
happy about it.
You can Troll Chant, Three Sisters.
Because now the Sejuani passive is already triggered, and Asol can refill the board very effectively. Trickster, Great Beyond, and there's no Sejuani passive anymore.
And it's not just Trickster and Sejuani.
Yeah, okay, guys, double spell shield is not enough.
She Wonders, and there are 2 She Wonders in hand. They can play that.
Remember how many invokes did they play? They played. Okay, we're gonna see how
And the
big
Trickster,
is
and then the
now.
Great Beyond, and just get a finisher. So I do believe Francis is probably on the best upside right now. They can just try to finish the game, right? Basically, even though we know there's Troll Chant and another Sisters, and then to try to just stall out and take out the attack from the Great Beyond.
So it would be 12, one would be 12. But again, those are, guys, you have to remember, those are random invokes. You can't assume that opponent gonna get double I am the Dragon invoke from the fucking Asol. Like, that's ultra high roll. Like, we're not gonna play around ultra high roll random double I am the Dragon. Like, come on.
But I'm not sure if all the damage that France can put here, if it can one shot, because of the, as we said, the She Wonders. It's basically 2 threats, and you're losing on Poland side. You're losing both the peddlers. So the only blocker you will have would be the Sejuani. But at this point, it doesn't matter if they're going for this attack, because it's just Troll Chant into a freeze with the Three Sisters, right?
Yeah, I suppose so. There's also interesting options here with the Aurelion Sol's Sky Descent to finally permanently remove the Sejuani. But of course, at this point, you have to worry whether or not Poland has drawn another Sejuani. And at this point, I'm also not sure anymore. Is that actually a Fury of the North in the hand of Team Poland, or was that a second Sejuani? I guess we'll find out pretty soon.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, we were ready.
Sure. I believe it's another.
Like we
set
really,
one, but,
we really wanted them to cast this. We really wanted to just play second Sedge into Mystic Shot phase.
I don't know. Maybe if we could see if it has the text.
So here
we couldn't know, but
oh, you could kill those units, but I don't think it's worth it. Honestly, I don't think it's worth it.
unfortunately we can't. Right. So what this is going to do right now is just get the Fury to be answered. I believe. Yeah, I think they're gonna play Fury here, right? Just to save one of the peddlers. It's because it's also another blocker that can actually block the She Wonders. And I wouldn't be surprised also to see the Troll Chant and the Mystic and the Flash Freeze going out now. Or maybe they will stall it. Maybe they will stall it.
They do have mana for Fury.
Oh, I know what are we thinking. Like, we were worried about still double obliterate. We couldn't do here too much. We had to keep the... We had to keep mana in case of double obliterate. Like, we played around and did entire game. But Shihuja baited me because they didn't have any more obliterates, the invoke cards apparently.
Plus Flash Freeze on the Great Beyond. I'm not sure if they're protecting the Peddler. They're most likely going for Troll Chant into Flash Freeze though, just because it shuffles so many puff caps as well. One interesting thing to mention here though. Sorry, you go.
They can play double Flash Freeze now. Look at the mana. They can play double Sisters and double Flash Freeze, and it puts more Shrooms in the deck.
They're not going for any freeze. Interesting. So I'm not sure if they have been counting the amount of invoke cards off of ASOT. I suppose they did. Oh, important off-stream result coming in here. While Sweden is almost clinging on to survival and fighting for that qualification spot. 1-1, serious equalizer.
Yeah, we miscounted invokes.
Sweden. I'm going to be very curious about the result of this one. But right here,
we miscounted
one interesting thing a bit differently. And that is play the She Who Wonders before playing the Trickster. And then Poland has to worry more about Team France still having an additional Invoke in hand and maybe another big Elusive or something they can play after combat. Either way, the puff caps keep rolling in. 3 damage. Sorry, what did you want to say?
I think it wouldn't work, right? Doesn't She Wonders just obliterate the Weasel from hand?
It does, but at the time of it being played, Poland wants to shuffle puff caps. So they want to put stuff on the stack, and that is before the obliterate resolves. And Poland just going for it. They're saying, we don't believe you have a star shaping in hand. They find the burn at the bottom of the deck. They go for the double Mystic Shot. And France has no answer.
So even if they have star shaping, we're gonna go for the just search. And if they have a way to, and we have to get excited for next turn. So like even if they have that star shaping, does it really matter? No, this is still the line. We have for the next turn. Search play.
For this, Voices of the Old Ones draws nothing, it whiffs. At least Flexo is having a good time with the love, and GG.
Why not freeze before the peddlers die?
Matchup
because we miscounted the invokes. We thought they have one more, which could have been double obliterate, and we could have played around it, and we did. Yeah, we misplayed once with that freeze.
Still has Targon Speak open, and
but that's based on the wrong information we had. So like you can't really decide it's a misplay when you possess the wrong information.
Maybe not even knowing the matchup spreads because.
All right, yeah, that was a very fun game to play. Like the last game was pretty snowbally for us, so like there was not much to watch there. All right, so did you enjoy chat today's EU Masters?